Hello, I'm Claire Pope with Women's Circle Live. Women's Circle Live is a internet broadcasting program designed for women who are interested in discussing how to be a positive impact in the lives of others. My name is Claire Pope. I'm your host for tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining me for tonight's show. I do apologize. Uh, we are running a little late. We wanted to make sure that we had everything in place. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I'd like to encourage everyone, if you are watching the show, this program is sponsored by Learn to Live Life Enhancement Consulting Services. Learn to Live, we believe that in growing in every area of life. On the screen, you will find a chat box. And while we are having our discussion this evening, if you would like to just share or have any questions regarding the things, so the topic we will be discussing tonight, you can do so by entering in your comments on the chat box. You can start out by making a statement in the box, click enter, and it will put up a box to ask you to type your name and whatever name you would like to be identified by in the chat room. It will record that name and you will be set to participate. So, once again, my name is Claire Pope. This is Women's Circle Live, internet broadcast, women impacting women for positive change. Today, we are going to discuss discuss on a topic that I think would be interesting to get some responses from. I want to share a little information in regards to an article that I have located. We are focusing and we are emphasizing the fact that women have an ability to impact the lives of others, and we do want that to be in a positive, have a positive effect on the people that we interact with. But as I was doing some research, I was wanting to talk tonight about how to impact, how as women today, how we can impact the lives of teen girls. I'm sure everyone knows of a young girl out there today who needs, who may be struggling with some things in regards to who she is, her relationships, and how to interact with the community. So, trying to get my chat box in order. I apologize. Okay, so my question, as we get started here tonight, my question is to the ladies that are watching the show: how have you, or who has impacted your life when you were young? Do you remember how your life changed due to someone else making themselves available and sharing with you how to deal with life and the issues of life, and becoming aware of your surroundings, your community, the people in your life? I came across an interesting article about a young lady, a teenage girl. This article was located on the internet on a site called the Jewish Review. And this young lady had an interesting experience about being impacted by the women in her life. And I want to talk a little bit about some points that I came across by reading this article. I'm going to change my sign here and bring up some notes. I wish I knew how to increase my notes. Okay, well, let me know in the chat box if there's some difficulty being able to see the information. I've got about 6 points that I wanted to touch on that I learned from this particular article that I've read and that I'm going to talk to you about. How many of you can honestly say that there was someone in your life when you were young, another woman that took the time to share with you the things that made a difference in your decision making and the paths that you were taking when you were young? Well, this young lady in this article, her name is Ella. She's a 14-year-old. And in this article in the Jewish Review, the title of the article actually is Women of All Ages Make Impact. And the first thing, the gist of the article is that this young girl, 14, went to an event with her mother and her grandmother. And the event was focused on how women impact the world, have the ability to impact the world. And she watched how the women around her responded, and it had such an influence on her that she, in turn, made a decision to want to impact the lives of some people as well, of someone as well. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit, try to stay in content of the article as much as possible. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the article, and in the process, I'm going to refer to the notes that you see on the screen in terms of how we as women today can give of ourselves to make an impact in the lives of teenage girls. The first thing I want to point out in the article is that this young lady, Ella, who's 14, as I stated, was at an event. And the first thing that stood out was that she was at a women's event with her mother and her grandmother. Well, you know, with the way things are with the homes today, of course, the number of single-parent homes, dealing with divorce, the economy, there's just so much going on that it's really hard for women today to sometimes give that a time and attention to their girls like they want to. But in the article it says that she attended a impact meeting, and this impact meeting was with her mother and her grandmother. And as you can see, my first point states that impact begins from home, positive or negative, whichever it's fed, if that's what's going to be produced. It does start at home. Those are the first and primary people of influence in the lives of a girl. And so she's going to determine and have to process the idea of what it means to be a girl and how to have relationships through the women in the home. And mom and grandma and auntie and you know, with some people it could be big sis, you know, or female cousins, you know, whatever the situation is at home. The other females tend to have the first impact of influence when it comes to these young girls and when they become teenagers. So this young girl, Ella, in this article, 14 years old, was with her grandmother and her mother at this event. The second thing I want to point out to you is when it comes to making a positive influence with teenage girls is the fact that This young girl was with her mother and her grandmother, and they were associated with other women of like minds. So you want to, number two, when you have your teenage girls, you want to associate them with other positive women. A lot of times we meet people and we just interact day in and day out, and we don't think too much about the impact and the influence they have on our lives. But you want to have yourself positioned with women of like minds who also desire to have a positive influence in their families and their mindsets, and also they're interacting within the community with other women of the same mindset. So here we are. We have this young lady. The article states she was out with her mother and her grandmother at a women's event, and this event was in the community with other women of like minds who wanted to make an impact and share about making it, what it means to make an impact in the lives of other women. The third thing I want to touch on when it comes to impacting the lives of teenage girls is to consider, number three, to do things together that encourage that positive behavior. So not only were they with women with like minds, they were at an event that encouraged positive behavior. In other words, this particular event she was at was dealing with focusing on the impact of other women in the lives of the women that were attending, acknowledging and sharing and emphasizing how their lives were impacted by these women. You want your girls, your teenage girls, to be involved, actively involved, in doing things throughout the community and with the family that encourages that idea and mindset of positive behavior. The fourth thing I want to talk about, because I do want to mention that this is a 30-minute broadcast, so I'm going to try to get in as much information as possible on this topic of impacting the lives of teenage girls. I want to look at number four. The fourth thing that happened in this article that I saw was that the event with her grandmother and her mother, in the presence of these other women of like minds in terms of impacting and making an impact in people's lives, caused her or inspired her or prompted her to consider giving herself. So you want to do things, but these things you want them to do that encourage positive behavior, you want to position them to be prompted to respond to that environment. You want her to be open and be able to receive and consider how she herself, the young girl, can get involved in some kind of way on her own, where she's considering what she possesses and what she has that's going to impact and touch the lives of other people. The fifth thing I want to touch on is, let me clarify a little bit here. Okay, so we're talking about impacting the lives of teenage girls. Well, you have, number one, impacting from the home. You have mothers and grandmothers primarily, aunts, cousins, sisters, older sisters. Number two, we want to associate with positive women. It's easy to be around someone, but you want to make sure that that person has a positive attitude. And number three, we want to do things with your teenage girls that encourage that positive behavior. You want to position, number four, you want to position the girls to be prompted to give, to examine themselves and see what it is that they can do. So now we're going to go into this fifth area. And the fifth thing I found in the article with Ella, who was at this women's event with her mother and her grandmother on the subject of impacting with other women. was number 5. Um, you want to arrange um, connections with other women of influence in the community. This was a community event, but it had a guest speaker. This particular guest speaker for this event that Ella was attending, uh, Elena was attending, um, had the executive, had the White House, former White House president, the former White House press secretary, Dee Dee Myers. I believe she was press secretary for President Clinton, based on the information that I read. And she was speaking on the subject of how women impact the country, and so, or impact the world. So here, she's not only uh, Elena is not only this young teen, this 14-year-old teenage girl, is not only with her mother, her grandmother, women of like minds, coming together in the community uh, at an event that promotes positive behavior, and she's positioned in an environment that's prompting her to give. But they have arranged for the connection, for her to see someone who has lived the life of influencing beyond her world, her environment, be outside of her box. Um, and so here you have all these strong points that this young lady is experiencing. And so it's pulling at her, it's drawing her to respond. And so the final thing I want to touch on, number 6. Number 6 is very important. It's very crucial because this is kind of like I would say, the icing on the cake. This brings about in this young girl's life um, the motivation to create for herself a testimony. Because number 6 is just that. It's what we want to do to impact the lives of our teenage girls is that we do want to share our stories and our testimonies of the women in our lives. How these women impacted us. I know for myself, I'm going to speak for myself for just a moment. I didn't really know how to connect with the women in my life. And it's not uncommon. I'm sure a lot of women may have struggled with the same thing. But it's not so much that it was a negative thing, because eventually I began to realize the important role that these women had in my life. My godmother, I grew up in a home with 5 boys, so it was a male-dominated environment. I was the only girl, and so I had a godmother. My godmother lived in the house behind the house that I lived in, that I grew up in. And my godmother, bless her heart, she would come to the house and she would say, "Come on over and spend the night. Come on and hang out with me." And I would be like, so glad to go. And a lot of times we didn't talk, and sometimes we did talk a little bit about some things, but it was nothing serious. Sometimes nobody would be at the house. You know, she had children of her own, 3 children of her own at home at the time. But, you know, sometimes I would just sit up under her and I would just be in her presence. And but I realized later that her role, what she showed me how to do, was she used to fuss over me, and she made me feel, helped me to understand the value of what it meant to be a girl. And I didn't understand that in the beginning. She used to do stuff that was girl related. You know, we'd sit and talk about how we felt about things and how we saw things in life when we did have our conversations. So, but I realized later on that there was someone in my life, and I had to realize the role she played was very important, because she dealt with me about being a girl. with all the boys in the house and all the connections they had, with the other guys in the community and, things of that nature. I didn't have cousins that lived in the area close by. So um, it was set up, my life was set up where I had someone who dealt with me about being a girl and my influence as a girl. And it all came back to me later on, as after, once I became of age. And I realized how much I appreciated something that I didn't even know that I had. So we want to share our testimonies and our stories now, because those testimonies and those stories, when we share them with our teenage girls, it gives them the incentive to take note of, if not the women that are there in their lives on a daily basis, then maybe they'll be open and take note of the women that are positioned in their lives for another reason, one reason or another. Um, that is what it's all about. That is what happened um, with this young girl, Elena, in this 14-year-old in this article. Because what she experienced at this event with her grandmother and her mother was that she noticed that the women were giving brief descriptions of how the other women had made an impact in their lives. These women were sharing the impact that other women had in their lives, and she was taking note, not so much of the stories, but the results of the stories, what these women led them to, the impact of these women in their lives, how it influenced them and caused them to be the best that they could be. So, and these are women. They were sharing stories of women that were living, and some of the women that were deceased, that had passed away. So, what am I leaving you with? Okay, so we're talking about impacting the lives of teenage girls, how we impact them from the home at first. We're positive mothers and grandmothers and aunts. We want to associate with other positive women. We want to do things together that encourage positive behavior. For we want to position the girls to be prompted to give or do something to impact someone else's life. We want to arrange connections with others of influence in the community, in the lives of these girls. And of course, you want to share your stories and testimonies of the women and what they've done to impact your life. So what is the end result? So I shared this little article, bits and pieces of this article. But the thing that I want to leave you with is the fact that this 14-year-old girl, Elena, by this particular day, she was inspired. She was inspired to donate some money. She had earned some money from babysitting, and she gave to an organization. She took that money and she gave it away because she was inspired to touch the lives of somebody else. And that encouraged her to be able to think of others, to position herself in her life, to go about and doing those things that bring about positive things for others. So I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with the understanding that we are able to impact the lives of these teenage girls. That if we use these 6 points over time, I believe if they are not open to these things while they're young, that you'll be planting those seeds that will eventually produce positive and good things out of our teenage girls down the road. On that note, I am going to close out our show. It is going on 9 o'clock, and I want to thank you if you've been able to listen to this broadcast. We will be returning next week, next Wednesday, to Women's Circle Live. If you are interested, I'd like to take an opportunity. If you have a story or you are involved in something where you are impacting the lives of other women, and you think you'd like to be a part of this broadcast, we can get together and I can contact you and we can talk about that. You can email me at learntolive@yahoo.com. That's LEARNLLIVE @yahoo.com. Once again, I'm your host. My name is Claire Pope. This is Women's Circle Live Internet Broadcast, Women Impacting Women for Positive Change. This is sponsored by Learn to Live Life Enhancement Consulting. Learn to Live offers life enhancement sessions, life planning workshops, and personal life development consulting services. You can also follow up with Learn to Live at www.learntolive.webs.com is our website if you want additional information. Or also, if you are interested in information, would like for me to contact you about services through Learn to Live Life Enhancement Consulting, you can reach me through the email at learntolive@yahoo.com. Once again, I am Claire Pope, Learn to Live Women's Circle Live Internet Broadcast. It has been a pleasure. I wish to thank everyone for joining me, and make a note on your calendar to join me again next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Women's Circle Live Internet Broadcast, Women Impacting Women for Positive Change. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night.